revenit oes, Christus in ots atri.
Rose, you played this game, Pentiment. So, what can, again, without spoilers, what can you tell us about this game and what are your thoughts?
Okay, it is set in medieval. I think it's more or less medieval, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
1500s, I think.
Yeah.
Late 1400s.
Bavaria, in a very political setting. It's before it was a united Germany, incidentally. Random historical fact. Oh God, there's so much to say. I mean, I liked it a lot. I like it also because it has this element, like a lot of games which I particularly like, actually, unlike the favourites that I listed at the beginning, where you can choose different traits, a bit like in an RPG, and it kind of slightly changes certain story options. And I like that. I really do like that in games, especially when it's like the good sides of RPG and character creation, but without the hack slash danger boring combat. So I really like that. I think I chose a cultist, and I was quite picky about the languages that I chose to be able to speak because, you know, I'm a linguist myself. So I was like, okay, yeah, I will learn a little bit of Dutch. And then I was able to have some conversation about the windows or something somewhere else. So I was like, oh yes, I recognize this. This is a windmill. And it's pretty interesting. I mean, it certainly adds a bit of flavour.
We'll talk about let's talk about windmill because we're Dutch.
Stereotyping, huh?
No, but this was literally the first, apparently, allegedly, this was, I don't know if it's historically accurate, but this was the first windmill. Actually, to be honest, knowing this game, it probably was.
It probably was.
It was like the first windmill that had been built in Bavaria, like a copy. Anyway, it's not a spoiler at all because you literally see it the first time you walk through. Anyway, anyway, so it was really good. I like the RPG elements. That's something to say. The historical stuff is very accurate from what I know.
It seems to be, yeah.
I find it very interesting because there's a lot about different religious disagreements, awakening.
There's a lot. There's
Lutheranism, I think, and various, which is quite, it's actually one of the very first conversations you have in the game. It also kind of forces you to, okay, what do you think about these new ideas? So there's a lot of stuff. And then there's also the occultism stuff. And it's really, if you're quite interested in that stuff.
There is certainly a lot in. I also really liked it myself. So the basic setup is you play as Andreas Mahler, who is an artist, set in this fictional town of Tassing. And so you were doing a painting in the scriptorium of the Abbey. And then you get to meet all the characters in the town, and then a baron comes and you interact with him. And then there is a murder. And one of your friends, brother Piero, has been accused of the murder. So you set about to investigate, to try and clear his name because you think he's a frail old man who couldn't possibly have committed the murder.
Yeah.
But it suits the abbot, and I think it suits everybody if he is the guilty one, because the archdeacon is about to arrive and they want to just give him some guilty party. They don't really want to investigate so much because they don't want to bring up all of this old stuff from, to the surface that will be kind of embarrassing for the town and for the abbey. But it's, there's, you mentioned the research. It's very detailed, and I mentioned that the writer has her podcast, about, the manuscript, and it really feels authentic. I really enjoyed how you got to meet these characters and got to eat with them. And that's where a lot of conversations happen.
Yes.
You can choose basically one of the biggest choices in the game is who you have dinner with. And that can have an effect on the story and who you believe might have committed the crime.
In the first two acts.
Yeah, the third act, not so much. Don't want to give any spoilers.
Yeah.
But that's one of the big choices. Now,
it affects what you know about different characters.
Exactly.
Which is, and I think later your time related choices. Hang on. Did we mention the mural yet? I mean, I think we should mention. Yeah. Well, basically, another aspect of the game is that you're also tasked with painting a mural, sorry, I always almost say Muriel, like I want to paint a woman named Muriel. Anyway, so if I say that accidentally, that's why. Anyway, so you're painting this mural, and there's different pressures about like, okay, what should it depict? Should it depict this aspect of the history, this aspect of the history, or this aspect of the history? And there's different people who want to, to make it go different ways, and that's kind of like that goes then into the epilogue, which is quite interesting. But yeah, so again with that, it also works the same way. Where do you go, who do you speak to, and that affects what you know, what you can talk about, which is cool. But the whole eating with different people, it's also quite interesting because you see interactions between different groups of people that you're eating with. So different people in the groups will have their interactions. There'll also be different things on the table depending what they do, professionally, how wealthy they are.
Exactly.
Which kind of puts you off from eating with the poor people because it's like, I don't want to be a complete sponge here. But then the rich people are not so nice.
No, anyway. There go those peasants.
In real life, anyway.
And then the peasants, they would only have a little bit of bread, and they would give it to you, but they wouldn't have it. But then if you refuse,
that happens in one of them.
Then they get offended.
And
then there's the talk about, you mentioned the politics. There's a lot there is on a Steam page, there is, mature content description, and definitely there's a lot of mentioned just about everything in the game, but it felt natural. It didn't feel like it didn't feel like the writers were trying to provoke us or trying to get a reaction. It didn't feel gratuitous. It felt just kind of natural. These are things that happened, and how they're dealing with it.
The other thing we should mention is that there's this choice. Basically every conversation has a little bit of a choice. Even how nice, how close you are to Piero, I think is a little bit conditional. I don't know. I was nice to him, but I think he had the opportunity to not be 100% nice to him. But but through a lot of the game, you have an apprentice, and in general, there's this theme of the generations, like the generations that came before, the generations that come next, and influencing people. And there is a spoiler that I'm not going to reveal there, but it can really have a big impact. How you interact with the different generations, how and how the way you treat people will also change events in the story, which is interesting.
The choices definitely seemed like they matter. And actually, again, I'm not going to say anything specifically, so I don't want to give any particular spoilers, but when you kind of, I think I choose, who you think committed the murder. First time I mentioned one person, but then I felt bad and I replayed that section and then said another person. But because of decisions that I had made, choices I had made, the Archdeacon still didn't believe me for a second. He still said, no, actually it's more likely for this person, the first person. So it's not just like, one choice at the end. It's a series of kind of how your investigation goes that they seem to take into consideration. And that I found really interesting. That was more realistic in a way. It's and it's a lot of little details that the dialogue, the way it's written, it's the way it would be written kind of in parchment, how they would write. as well. But also, if you find it hard to read, then the developers have added an option where you can just read it normally, which I really appreciate because I'm always like, give the player the choice on how we want to play. And
That's what I did too.
Yeah, and I think this game does it really well for the most part. Now we mentioned, I suppose just get this out of the way. Thomas mentioned in Delivers to Moon that there's no manual saves. There's no manual saves here. It didn't bother me for the most part, but when you finish a day,
I was going to ask, how did you manage to replay that section? Because
I didn't save because it just didn't save.
So you realize you'd messed up early enough to go back.
Yeah, not just. I mean, I don't think there's any good choices, but it's
no. Yeah, I certainly the person I accused, I felt guilty afterwards.
But I think no matter what choice,
not as guilty as I could have done.
Yeah,
put it that way. So I didn't accuse that one. I accused. You can guess who I accused, but I felt guilty after.
Exactly.
Yeah,
but
I love it when games can actually stir that kind of emotion.
Absolutely, it's all throughout the game.
Yeah,
but
I felt quite punished, because certain people didn't like what I had done. I felt quite guilty seeing the effects, and I was like, "Oh my god, I just destroyed this person's life."
And actually, the second act. But first of all, I would have liked it if there had been manual saves. And, again, listen to my review Stray for why. But again, in this game, it didn't affect me hugely because you can save changing locations. But then there are certain times when long cutscenes that can last for half an hour that I was playing this during my lunch break and I was like, okay, when will this save? Will this save, please? Because I don't want to repeat all of this. But, so that's the one thing that I would say, just more regular autosaves if you are, or just please have manual saves. But I still like this game. Also, I think it's fair to say that it's very character driven, which is good, but I did find it a little bit overwhelming at first. I was like, so many characters and so much kind of going. I was like, oh wait, who are all these characters? And maybe it's just me, but a lot of them were like peasants. I was like, oh, are they not all the same? I know that's horrible to say.
Actually, there's a little. I didn't have that problem, and I can tell you.
I know, it's terrible.
You can possibly guess why I didn't have problems sort of distinguishing the characters, because all of the surnames are German surnames that relate to their jobs.
Yeah, oh yes.
So for me, it was piss easy to remember.
Yeah.
So I was like, the Bauer, they're the farmers. Yeah.
I probably also won't have any issue with that.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And Strucker, that's the printers, yeah. Yeah,
well,
exactly. If you speak Dutch, basically.
Well, as the game,
I speak German as well, so.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Très bien.
my Dutch, I understand it extremely well, and I speak it rather badly. But anyway, yes.
So do I.
Side note.
So, but yeah, no. Overall, as I said, the quality of the writing, I think that's what really makes this game stand. I love the animations. Even when the characters are going to bed and they take off the slippers and then get into bed, it's just so nice. It's a long game as well. The 3 acts are quite long. It's taken me over 15 hours to play.
That's the reason I haven't replayed it, because it's so long.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of like, I could replay it. No.
I know, it would be nice to replay, but it's quite long.
I'll admit, I'm a persistent multitasker. So ever since not ever since, like a few minutes ago, we watched the trailer and that kiss, apparently it even has consequences, like kiss. Oh my God. And I'm like, maybe I should replay it just to find out what, anyway. But yeah, everything, well, not everything, but a lot of things have little consequences.
Yes.
And
I think that's what they do really well. Now,
yes.
And I'm going to be, people are comparing this to Disco.
Let's find out what happens if you kiss her.
Oh, no spoilers. Good note.
No, but wow.
But it's similar. And
my God, that's so... Anyway.
People are comparing this to Disco Elysium. Now, it's not... There are...
I've not
very
played
different.
that. I probably shouldn't I gather.
It's a very different...
But it's a bit long, I've heard.
Game. It is quite long, but there are some similarities. I think, we'll talk about the investigation, very good dialogue. There's politics discussed, religion in this case that goes really deep into politics and religion. And even the second act, I thought that was my favorite part. And again, I don't want to give any spoilers, but you're kind of like conflicted. That I didn't think I would be, with the Abbey and then with the townspeople. both want very different things, and then you're kind of like, ooh, but if I support these people, then this might happen. But if
I didn't feel a conflict because why did I not feel?
Well, in the sense, I supported, shall we say, maybe the townspeople, but then I thought, well, but if I support them, there could be these consequences. So maybe if I try and help more with the Abbey, we can avoid this.
I get you that, yeah. Yeah, but I really didn't like the other team. So
I didn't either, but I still thought that the game really showed you their point of view, I think, very well. And I mean, no, I didn't like them either. I think most people
went to
won't,
a C of E school and I was forced to pray, so I was very much team townspeople. So,
but and then the Revelation, which we obviously won't talk about, but I thought that was quite good. I thought that was quite effective.
I don't even know which Revelation. Oh, okay, that.
Yeah.
Probably, yes. That you mean okay,
the main one.
I guess. Oh, hang on. I don't even know which one you mean now, because there's so many revelations. Okay, that tells you something about the game as well.
So maybe we got different
he says
ones.
The big revelation, and I'm like,
maybe there's different ones. I think that shows.
Do you mean the one?
The main one.
The one that you would have found a few hours ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh well, that one caught me by surprise.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, so and the music was really good as well. And yeah, overall, I would definitely highly recommend it. It's
very good.
The different, just this little detail that it gets right. And it's very engrossing for a long game, for a long narrative game. It's
with no voice acting.
No voice acting.
I mean, I have to admit, I do find it harder sometimes with the voice acting. Side note, Norco does a really good job with, except I've now got this, I don't know if you've played Norco, but
I have, yeah.
Except now, I enter the room to say hello to my husband and I say, and like, or I go, and just because it's got like this fake voice type noise, which I think works really, really well, because you kind of get an idea of what their voice would be like, but it sounds more like, but the trouble is it gets in your head.
Yeah.
But Norco handles that really well.
And I think Pentiment
apart from the whole earworm effect.
Yeah. And Pentiment, I thought, did. So yeah, overall, I really liked it. Now, as I said, it is quite long.
But I would have liked voices. I would have liked a little bit. It's just, but for a 15-hour game.
And a lot of dialogue in this game. So.
Yeah, it would have been. But then you could have done like a tactic like that some RPGs do, because it was very RPG-like in certain ways. You could have perhaps had a couple of lines, or similar to the one that you haven't played, Paradise Killer, just like a random line that's voiced or whatever. But I mean, you just would have added a little bit more flavour.
And it's also it's Microsoft that publish it, so they have money, right?
yeah, exactly. I mean, just a little bit of voice might have been something, or like this Norco effect. The Norco effect is really innovative and cool.
There is some kind of when the characters sing, which was quite nice.
Yes, yeah. I'm wondering if the other thing is that they were kind of trying to think. Well, they want to keep things quite authentic, didn't they? Yeah. And mind you, they weren't speaking English anyway, were they?
They were speaking, but they're speaking German. But
yeah. But I suppose theoretically, then there would have been a really strong argument that they should have then voiced it in German as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, I'm getting things to think.
Yeah, but I really like. I also love the setting, because we don't have many games set in medieval times that are serious. I mean, we've had the Procession of Calvary, which I believe are very good, but this isn't a comedy. There are some comedic parts, some funny parts, but it's a very serious game, and it takes the characters seriously, and it takes itself, it takes the world seriously. That this is how they lived, but they were real people, not these funny people in medieval times like Monty Python and Holy Grail kind of thing. But it's
one thing I will mention in terms of similar games. Hang on, I'm just going to have to. Strange Sickness. Okay.
Oh yes.
Very, very niche. Did I mention it to you?
Did
you see me talking?
I think
about
on
it somewhere?
Discord, but I have this on itch.io, because when you mentioned it on Discord, I was like, yes, I have that game. Very timely.
Yeah, because I backed it at the time and then I forgot to play it, so I played it quite recently. But Strange Sickness by Common Prophet. that has similarities because that's also quite serious, and it's also got the same kind of structure in terms of you do certain things at certain times, and it also, like, your arguments in an important conversation are based on what you found out. So there's a lot of similarity, but it's we're talking about a different game here, but if you like Pentiment, you'll probably enjoy Strange Sickness, I would say.
Okay, I'll have to play.
Yeah. Is that on Steam?
No, that's the thing. It's really
itch.io.
It's itchy. Yes.
I always forget that I have.
I have it. I know. If it's not on Steam.
It's set in like in a plague-ish time in Scotland, and it's all very, very carefully researched. I mean, there's a hell of a lot of overlap in the thinking behind it.
The game that I played with the Plague Doctor of Wipra, that's also
as well.
Very serious.
I need to play that as well.
The trouble with that one, it came out at the same time as loads of other really good games.
I know, September, October.
It didn't do as well as it should have done, because it seems really good.
It is really good. It's really you should really check it out. Yeah.
Cool. So anyway, so I think
getting back to Pentiment. So basically,
overall, I think I would recommend it. I think you as well, Rose.
I would definitely recommend it. It was it's long. It's lots of words.
Very wordy.
It's long and lots of words. You're really selling the hell out of it.
No, but it's good. I mean, I think it's good to let people know. It's well written. It is wordy. It's very well written, but again, it is long.
It's also like a warning. Like, I mean, for me, I played it over Christmas, so that was a good time for me to play it because I could relax and focus on it a bit more. I mean, some people, same way, like, I don't particularly like adrenaline heavy games because it makes me feel ill, literally physically ill. I'm not particularly into, this kind of massive switch when you're playing one sort of game and then suddenly you have to have some other kind of skill, like shooting down something or whatever. So it doesn't do that, but
you're playing and all of a sudden you have to be reading. Oh no!
Well, this one is just like sustained concentration without any kind of audio stimulation can be a little bit. I mean, okay, there is music, but that can be tricky for some people. So it's just
just to let people know.
Yeah, so it's just be aware, and also because you don't want to feel like you're missing out on it, because it is good. So as long as you're someone who can, like,
if you don't mind reading,
games.
No voice acting, but there is music, and it is very well written.
It is good music.
Yeah. So overall, that is a recommendation.
I would definitely give it a recommendation. Do we give like out of 10s or out of 8?
How much would you give out of? Well, we don't usually, but if you were doing,
I'd give it a solid. Shall I just be weird and give it 4.25 out of 5?
Yeah, I would say based on what you're saying, I would put it on like 8.5 out of 10.
Yeah, that's fair. 8.5. Now, as I said, it's a bit long. I would have liked some manual saves. I know it's a meeting, but overall, really, really good.
Yeah, it was very good. Oh, and actually, we'll say another thing I quite like is it also. Sorry, it's a bit off topic, but it's something we didn't bring up. Go ahead. Although it's set in Bavaria, there's a definite feeling of international, like, and like interactions, like, because there is this factor of the fact, it's true, like the pilgrims would come from all over the world, and Europe
there
at
is
least, and
good representation. There's people from almost everywhere.
There is one character who comes from much further fields. I think Turkey.
From Turkey. There's a few from Italy, which I know is not that far.
But from a fair few from Poland, which is realistic because that's and I like it. The fact that there's you feel this international nature of Europe as a continent, and not to get political, but I mean, this is just history. But the language aspect is also cool because it changes your insights.
Yes.
It's really good. And I should replay it. Also, just to kiss that nun.
You go kiss that nun.
Yeah.
I got it all installed on my Steam Deck, so I'm probably going to play.
You're probably going to play. Well, I look forward to hearing what you might say.
It's the kind of game that I think would be quite nice to play on.
I think I'm playing it on my Steam Deck. It feels like, perfect game on the Steam Deck. Very easy to control.
I played a couple of Ink games in general on my on my tablet, and I find it, text games on a tablet are kind of nice. Yeah,
because no, definitely, you can
just relax completely. So and focus more on it. It's nice.
So well, thank you very much. That was a Pentiment and a high recommendation there. Hey everybody, this is Shorter Than Bar from the Adventure Games Podcast. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you'd like to listen to the entire episode, you can do so either on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, Podbean, and all other major podcast platforms. Basically, wherever you listen to podcasts. Or you can listen at the link below. Hope to see you there.